Hey everyone, Andre here from the Tennis and Bagels podcast. I'm recording here from quite a few hours after the final between Sinner and Medvedev, where Sinner actually beat Daniil Medvedev from 2 sets to love down to earn his first Grand Slam title at the Australian Open in an impressive run where he actually beat Novak Djokovic in the semifinals, handling Djokovic really his first loss at the semifinals at the Australian Open in ever, and also meaning that he has now beaten Daniil Medvedev in all of their last four meetings. So basically almost overturning the 6-0 head-to-head that he had against him, which is now a 6-4. And handling Medvedev, another heartbreak at the Australian Open. This is the second time that Medvedev has lost from 2 sets to love down. As we all know, he lost from 2 sets to love up against Rafael Nadal in 2022, and but this one seemed to be a heck of a lot different journey for Daniil Medvedev after he had basically a resurrection of his own game in 2023. So on quite a few big titles, reached the final of the U.S. Open, and he actually looks a lot happier to be playing than he was in 2022 for the most of it after he lost that very pivotal final for him. Now, before we continue, there's a bit of a disclaimer here. Matches starts at 3:30 a.m., so I wasn't able to watch all of it. I only caught sets 3 and 4, and I'm basically going to go off of what I heard from the commentators and what I read on Twitter about what sets 1 and 2 were for Medvedev's strategy and what Sinner did well and didn't, and off the extended highlights that are available on the Australian Open page. Don't blame me, it's sad, but it's very late. I had to wake up early today-ish. So to start off, Medvedev was actually pretty aggressive. I think he's been trying to make this adjustment for a while now, or he's trying to, counterbalance the fact that, Alcaraz and Djokovic were able to kind of pick apart his game as he was returning from so far back off the court, especially off of that side actually on the return, and just serving volleying a lot more, using the drop shot so much more, and he's trying to, get closer to the baseline, get more aggressive instead of getting stuck in all those super rallies and super long rallies of 30 shots, even though they still happen. He's still really good at them. But he's trying to make a few differences here and there, approaching the net a lot more, using his forehand with a bit more of an aggressive intent. So that's what he did in the first set. I think the first 2 sets went his way. I think it was 6-3, 6-3 in his favor. A couple of break points here and there, a couple of breaks here and there. He broke Sinner a few times, and Sinner broke back a couple times. But I think ended up happening is a mix of Medvedev really being aggressive and Sinner being a bit nervous. I feel like from the highlights, at least from what I could get, was that he was just being a little too passive, just not necessarily letting it rip on the forehand specifically, and just kind of engaging too much in the rallies with Medvedev instead of trying to control them and push him back so that he could use his forehand and the backhand online really to attack more. But things really changed after the third set. I think that after he gave that sigh of relief after winning and breaking Medvedev to win the third set at 6-4, I think he just really became a different player. He started just basically regain all of his confidence, all of his calmness, his strength of mind, the presence of mind that he had. It was just pretty incredible to see just how focused he was. It was and not say that it didn't look like it was his first Grand Slam final, but he kind of played it as if it was any other match. So that was pretty impressive to see, and the way that he started just picking his targets and picking the moments to actually attack. Except maybe for the drop shot, I think it wasn't as well executed throughout the match, but the rest of the game was just flawless. Another change that Sinner made throughout the third set specifically was that he took a step back from the return and started being trying to cut the angles for he wasn't trying to cut the angles for the first serve out wide on the due side, but he was trying to just stay more able to put the ball back in play instead of just handing in just floaty balls for Medvedev to be more aggressive. I think that was basically one of the biggest changes that he made. I think there was a graphic that they showed in the broadcast where he was right at the baseline for the first sets 1 and 2, and then third set, he actually went down to almost the Melbourne sign, just a little bit in front of it. So there's a huge difference. Returning a big server like Medvedev's, I think it really paid off. As we know, actually, it did pay off because he won the final. On Medvedev's side, I think he was just fatigued. Honestly, he played for 23 hours before he got to, at that point, to Sinner's 17. So the total time that he spent on court for the first and second week combined before reaching the finals, Medvedev actually went on to get over 24 hours, I think, of 24 hours on court in total, or something like that. It's like a very absurd number. He spent a long time on court, and Sinner kind of had a bit of an easier path to the final, excluding Djokovic in the name aspect of it. But Medvedev I think he played 3 5-setters. 2 of them he was actually 2 sets to love down. Had a very late finish against Ruusuvuori in the first week, and played that super epic against Alexander Zverev in the semifinals. Whereas Sinner, even as he took Djokovic on, he was able to kind of routine him in the first 2 sets. So the match didn't get to catch fire as much, and Djokovic didn't play his best. But he still needed to obviously be very mentally present there. But like, he kind of got slack in the sense that got some slack because of the fewer hours that he spent on court, which definitely helped him. He was a lot fresher on court. He actually could, live with Medvedev from the baseline. He clearly had more in the tank to give, and he took advantage of that to not allow Medvedev to still be more aggressive towards the end of the match. But yeah, I think overall it's just great to see that Sinner got to his first Grand Slam final. I think not necessarily was long due, but it was long due that we got to see some great results from the Italian. I think everybody was really quoting him to be the next number one and whatnot. And I think that he took a little bit of a while to find his stride and find the confidence and just find the game that he needed to win the biggest matches against the biggest players. And basically ever since he won Toronto last year, and then he had the big tournament in Beijing where he beat Medvedev in the final. After that point, he basically became a different player. He entered the top 4, beat Djokovic twice in singles, won in the ATP final, then he lost in the final, and then he beat him in the Davis Cup. Beat him the doubles, which was actually pretty impressive as well. But doubles are just a little bit different, but it still counts, I guess. But now he's the Grand Slam champion, so he joins Alcaraz as, in my opinion, the front runners of this generation in terms of the biggest guys, the ones who are probably going to be dominating the game in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe even, if we can allow ourselves to get that far. And both of them, Alcaraz and Sinner, have been Djokovic en route to at least one of their Grand Slam titles. Alcaraz beating Djokovic last year in the epic final at Wimbledon, and Sinner beating Djokovic in the semifinals of the Australian Open this year. So that's pretty, I think, important for them as well, and for pundits, I guess, to make their predictions over the next couple months in the season. Excited to see what he brings onto the table. Is he going to join the top 3 the season still, because ranking didn't really change, because Medvedev, I think he lost in the 3rd round last year or something, which now means that he reached in the final. He's gathered quite a few points as well for himself, so he still maintains his number 3 position. Djokovic still is in number 1, and Alcaraz is still number 2 in the world. So no changes in the top 4. And Medvedev, I think specifically, is good because he seems to be enjoying himself, seems to be happy to, be out there, be playing, be fighting, be feeling the energy from the crowd and the atmosphere, as Sabalenka really likes to say during all of her on-court interviews. But yeah, I think it's a really great contrast between the quote that he said last year in 2022 when he mentioned the kid has stopped dreaming and he's only going to play for himself, where he was like clearly, he was clearly not in a great mood, not in a great place mentally, emotionally either, after he lost to Nadal. There was probably some things to do with obviously the crowd and how things were happening around himself that he felt he just wasn't welcome. And I think that now he felt a lot different. Like he felt he was smiling throughout his on-court speech, during his press conference, in the press conference after the 2022 final. He was definitely showing that he was not great. He was not doing great. But this press conference, he was just kind of showing like the usual, like, it hurts to lose, but I'm here and I'm excited to keep playing, to keep improving. And I think we might be expecting some good things still from Medvedev, and I truly hope that he can put his hands on the Australian Open trophy eventually in his career. And just one last thing before I finish is that I never really noticed that staircase, that little portable staircase that they put just right in front of the players' boxes. Has this always been there? I don't really know. I don't think I've ever noticed it. And maybe just because I always turn off the stream before all the celebrations, especially for the Australian Open, because I just kind of want to go back to bed. But I think that's nice. They always go up there anyways, and it's just pretty tall. Like you cannot just reach it like very easily. So that's a nice addition. If they have been doing this for a long time, great. If they just started doing it not too long ago, well, I think that's here to stay. So yeah, let me know if has this staircase always been there, or I don't know. Let me know in the comments. All right, I'll see you in the next episode of the Tennis and Bagels, or in the next video. In here, you're actually going to be able to, as always, watch it here for the full episode, or you can listen on your preferred podcast platform. And stay if you also like the tennis gaming videos. And as always, you can always follow us on Twitter at Tennis and Bagels. You can follow me at Willenberg Andre. You can follow Vansh at Vansh2K. You can follow Owen at Tennis Nation. So, well, happy end of the Australian Open. What did you think of the tournament? Let me know. See ya.